think everything's okay. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of the Victim Assistant Crime Victim Advocacy. My name is Andrea Sierra. And on this episode, I thought I'd go live and talk about catfishing. So this is the first episode of the Victim Assistant of the year. And I got this idea from a listener who had some questions about it. So this episode is going to be very short. So I thought, why not go live and share, maybe engage in conversation if anyone joins me. So welcome. If you don't know me, let me just do a brief introduction. My name is Andrea Sierra. I am a nationally recognized crime victim advocate. I specialized in domestic violence and family violence. I have worked with law enforcement for 20 years. Half of that time, I was their crime victim advocate assigned to the domestic violence unit. And we worked specifically domestic violence cases, and we got nationally recognized because the work we did was a collaborative effort where we worked with prosecutors, other law enforcement agencies, nonprofits, churches, schools. We all worked together for the same cause. So we got a lot of attention from that. Currently, I crisis counsel. Before COVID, I was facilitating groups for domestic violence victims. So that's what I do, and I host this podcast to talk about different crimes and how victimization affects people, society, and our culture. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I also, in this podcast, share my professional experiences and personal growth to help people and help crime victims. So that's what I do. So today's episode, catfishing. So I'm not talking about the sport. I'm talking about the deceptive form of cyberstalking and cyberbullying. So I got a question about it, and I thought, you know what, let's talk about this because it's pretty relative in our society. I mean, we live in a society full of advanced technology, which makes it a lot easier for people to harass and annoy each other. So I thought we should talk about it. So the information is pretty general, pretty to the point. So this episode won't be very long. So if anyone joins me in the chat, I'm happy to answer questions afterwards. So let's begin. So I'm going to go over what is catfishing, the warning signs, the history of catfishing, prevention, and before prevention, I'm going to talk a little bit about the psychology of catfishing. So why people do this? Why do people engage in this type of behavior? Why do people receive this type of behavior? Okay, so let's start. So you might hear me flipping pages because I need to stay focused, so I take notes. So like I said, why should we talk about catfishing? Well, advanced technology allows for people to stalk and annoy each other, and it's easy for people to do that. And let's be real, people have been lying and misrepresenting themselves forever. It's just social media has given it a platform. And we live in a society now of spying and deception. So we have to be aware and more socially conscious that this stuff can happen. Okay, so what is catfishing? So catfishing is a relatively new term. It was made popular because of a television show and a documentary. So catfishing is a deceptive practice where a person creates a fake identity online to lure people into a self-serving relationship, usually romantic, or to commit fraud or theft. It's a very unhealthy, imbalanced relationship based on lies and deception. Sometimes catfishing can be used to stalk another person, or pedophiles may pretend to be young to stalk and develop relationships with minors. And this leads to other crimes like human trafficking. So catfishing is common and can be very dangerous. It is also a form of cyberbullying and cyberstalking, which involves terrorizing and exploiting people's emotions to embarrass or harass them online. So story time. So I usually have some kind of story for my listeners or something relative to my professional experience. So back in the day when I was an advocate, I had a dating violence case. And this is just a side note. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. So if you're interested in learning how to talk to teens about dating violence, or if that is familiar to you, go to loveisrespect.org. That's a great organization to get more information. So that's just a little side note. But anyway, I had a dating violence case. And back in the day, I don't think that this term was even evolved. Like, we weren't saying catfishing. We were saying stalking or harassment. So I think this was before catfishing became a popular topic. But I had a case, dating violence case, boy and a girl dating. The girl started feeling uncomfortable around her boyfriend. She noticed that he was starting to be erratic and have mood swings, and his personality was like fluctuating. 1 minute he was happy, 1 minute he was sad. So she goes to her mom and she says, I'm not feeling really good about this. I like this boy, but I care about him, but like, this is too much. I can't handle his mood swings. And he wasn't necessarily being abusive or aggressive towards her. It was more towards himself. But she just wasn't feeling comfortable. So she talked with her mom and they decided, maybe they should break up. So the girl ended up breaking up with him. So I'm not sure the timeline, like during the time that she broke up with him, which, by the way, when you break up with somebody in an abusive relationship, that's the most dangerous time for the victim, just FYI. So I don't know the time frame between when she broke up with him and the incident that happened. But somewhere in between there, she met or came into contact with his ex-girlfriend, who chatted her up online, and they began this kind of friendship and relationship, and they would compare notes and, compare their situations and confide in each other and talk. Well, it turns out later on that she found out that it wasn't his ex-girlfriend. It was actually him pretending to be an ex to befriend her so that he can keep an eye on her and see who she's dating or what she's doing. So we're not really sure if she said anything in her contact with him that instigated the incident. We're not sure, but we think. So the incident. So she had broken up with him, and I don't know how much time had elapsed from the time she did and then the incident. But anyway, she was coming home from school and she came home on the bus, and she was getting off the bus and he jumped out of the bushes and he stabbed her multiple times when she was coming off the bus. She survived her injuries. Thank God. They were very superficial. But that is my catfishing story. He pretended to be somebody else to monitor her whereabouts. So that can also happen in, dating relationships. It's not just a stranger crime. So I thought I'd share that since I share a lot of my experiences with my listeners. So that's my catfishing story. At the time that this happened, I didn't know, I don't think a lot of us knew about catfishing, that this term is relatively new. And I'll talk about the history of catfishing and how it came about. Because catfishing is a metaphor. So let's just talk about it. So catfishing, in order to keep cod fresh when shipped from Alaska, fishermen would put the cod in with catfish because catfish would keep the cod agile and on their toes and moving. So the term was used in a 2010 documentary and then MTV show with Nev Schulman, I hope I said his name right, who was a victim of catfishing and the star of the show. He was catfished when he was younger and had a long distance relationship with somebody that he thought was his own age, 19, 20 years old. But later he found out that she was a 40-year-old bored housewife that he was having this relationship with. So the term catfish came from the woman's husband, who made the comparison of the situation to how cod and catfish behave when together. Never a dull moment as opposed to being alone, so keeping it fresh. So the husband made that comparison. So I don't know if I explained that well. So the catfish in the metaphor is the would be the fake people, and the cod are the victim. So, keeping the victim on their toes and when they're dealing with them. So I just thought that was interesting. I don't think many people know where that term comes from, but that's where catfishing comes from. So, just a little side note. So, how do we... I'm going through my notes so I don't get lost. Hold on just a second. Yeah. All right, so catfishing. So catfishing is a form of abuse, much like trolling and ghosting, where a person shields themselves from moral obligation or responsibility. It's in my personal opinion, and this is not judgment. I don't like to pass judgment, because victimization is, everybody responds to crime and to things differently, and we have to have compassion and understanding. But with catfishing, I just don't like this behavior. I feel like it's vile and it's cowardice. And a lot of people use this behavior and, to manipulate and control people or to commit fraud or theft. And this behavior often becomes an addiction for both parties involved. So what are the warning signs? So how do you know that you might be catfished, or, are there signs? Yes. 1, avoid face-to-face contact. Avoid personal or visual meetups. 2, avoid phone contact. They use every excuse why they can't. 3, they only give vague personal information, or the extreme, the opposite of the spectrum. They give these elaborate, exuberant stories. 4, the relationship progresses very rapidly. 5, they start asking for favors or money, and this is especially true when it's a fraud or theft situation. And 6, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And the thing about catfishing is, when the facade dies, so does the relationship. So that's a big indication. So how do you prevent this from happening? And this is especially valuable information for parents of teenagers, because teenagers have no filter, no sense of privacy. So I think this information is really good for teens. So this is a big alert to parents. So 1, do not give out personal information online. I mean, we should all observe privacy. We need to take back our privacy. We live in such a digital age that we're too open to giving out information to others. There are so many crimes that can be committed against us with exposing personal information. So we have to be more aware and use a lot more discernment. Stalking using technology is so easy. So we need to start refraining from disclosing where we go to school, work, live, frequent. We need to stop geotagging, stop checking in places. It's just a behavior that we need to kind of step away from. 2, trust bubble. I tell my daughter this, she's in college, all the time. No fast friends. Absolutely not. Strangers are not allowed. No texting, messaging, or Zooming, Skyping with strangers. You just don't do it. 3, dating. Now I'm laughing at this because, I'm single, so it's hard for me to tell people this, but I don't know. I'm hypersensitive to stuff because I've worked with law enforcement, So my mind is different. But with dating, you should only be dating people you know or through friends and family. If you engage in dating apps, be selective, don't do a lot of them, and do dating that involves public interaction. 4, watch your post. Watch what you post on your social media. Use discretion. 5, your profile should be very general. So Google yourself to see what comes up. 6, follow the cliche. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. And 7, report false people to social media sites and to authorities if necessary. So those are some prevention tips. And, we just have to live differently. And I know people don't like to hear that, but we need to open our minds to not everybody's a safe option for us, and we have to consider our safety more. And we put our safety on the back burner because we don't think crime can happen to us, but crime can happen to you. Trust me, I have seen a lot. I have been to crime scenes. I have seen people sit in awe because they didn't think that such a horrible thing could happen to them. No one is immune to crime, and we have to observe our privacy more. We have to use privacy settings on our digital devices, and we have to teach our youth to do that and to be more cognizant of who we're friends with or online. The online presence nowadays is not really safe, and we have to be open to protecting ourselves. So there are software, so this is prevention. So there are software programs to monitor teens that you can purchase, like Safety Web or Social Shield. There are security apps to help you do research when you're researching people that you're going to date or whatever. Commit to knowing who you associate with. So if you feel you have been a victim of catfishing, don't be ashamed. It happens. Talk to someone and report. And especially if you're a victim of a financial crime, someone stealing your money, please report it to law enforcement and to the Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Trade Commission has the best website to help victims of theft and crime. My daughter was a recent victim of identity theft, so I had to go through the Federal Trade Commission to help secure her identity while they do an investigation. And that is like, you're thinking, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. But their website is excellent. Step by step, they guide you. So the Federal Trade Commission. Cybersmile.org. They promote positive digital citizenship, awareness, education, and support. Verywellfamily.com. This is a website that has a lot of great articles for parents, crime victims, keyword catfishing, cyberbullying. And I found, let me get my iPad here, hold on. I found a great resource the other day I want to share. Hold on, let me pull it up. The website is called ditchthelabel.org, and I think it's a US website. And they have some great information here on protecting yourself, how to spot a fake. So calling catfish. So this is from the website. This is excellent. Oh my gosh. So, are you being catfished? You probably are. So here are some things that you can look out to keep yourself safe. So do a reverse image Google search. So this is a quick and easy background check. Right-click their photos, copy the URL, and paste in the box at images.google.com. Google will then search for other sources of that image online. If nothing is found, try a few photos and see what crops up. Oh, great. So, I mean, this is awesome. If you're talking on an app like Tinder or, or Grindr, sorry, there's an app you can download that does the same job called Veracity. I mean, that's excellent information. Okay, so Google it. There's a lot to be said for Googling names other than your own. See if you can find any credible information about them. If there's nothing, that should raise alarm bells. Ding, ding. Language. We all make silly spelling mistakes. But if they're making strange grammar and odd spelling mistakes continuously, then that's something that you should proceed with caution with. And I'm going to tell you this. I've had a few, I didn't really work theft or fraud. My colleague did, but a couple of times I had some theft and fraud cases, and I've noticed that when people are soliciting money fraudulently, they're from another country, so their English is crap. So they're probably not speaking in complete sentences. That's a big warning sign. Money. Lending. What is this? Lending of... Oh, a $5 to your best mate for lunch is one thing, but if your new online buddy is already asking you for money to get their car fixed so they can come and visit you, that's a big sign. So anyone right off the bat that you just met that's soliciting money from you, that's an indication. And then there's just some other things. I'm not going to go through all of them. If they don't want to FaceTime, Skype, or do any phone or in-person contact, that's a big red flag. And then they also mentioned what I mentioned. Watch out for elaborate stories or lies. Catfishes tell outrageous lies, which are often a dead giveaway. A catfish may well claim to be a model, be in a job that makes them travel to extravagant locations. So that elaborate story that I talked about earlier, that's a big red flag. So this just confirms it. This is a great website. So it's ditchthelabel.org. So that is all I have for you on catfishing, because that's all I know. But I just wanted to do something different for the first episode of The Victim Assistant. I hope everyone is staying safe, healthy, and connected. I've been getting a lot of questions, and I'm trying to answer everybody. It's been kind of hard to do that lately, because I'm trying to do all these projects and then answer emails. But I really encourage you to email me. And I appreciate people emailing me and sharing your stories with me. I'm grateful. I'm also grateful for my listeners. A lot of people are responding to the last episode of the year, which I did on cults, spiritual abuse. People that have been emailing me appreciated the fact that I didn't judge people that are in cults. And like I said, the Victim Assistant is a safe platform for people to share, or for me to share information. I'm an inclusive person. I don't judge. And I'm trying to take that component out of society. People judge crime victims all the time. People don't understand victimization, and that's why I have this podcast, to help people understand what happens to people when they experience crime and violent crime. And I have a lot of compassion for people. So I am glad that my message is not antagonistic or judgy or one-sided. I'm a fair person, and that's what I try to put out. So I really appreciate people telling me that. And that was kind of my goal when I started to talk about cults, because I don't want people to think that people that fall into cults are weird or mentally ill or whatever. No, these are people that are searching for the truth, and they were just falsely led. And it's all about power and control. And I'm really glad people understood that. So thank you. So if you haven't listened to that episode, listen to it. It's called Exposing Spiritual Abuse. So it's about cults. So that's all I have time for today. There is nobody in the chat. That's okay. So everybody, Take care. Follow me on Twitter at victimadvocate1. I have a YouTube page. It is called The Victim Assistant Lifestyle. I address advocacy, self-care. I'd like more people to subscribe and share so that we can go on there and have live chats. A lot of people email me, and there's only so many hours of the day. If we could go on live for an hour and just everybody share, that would be great. So go on there and subscribe. Remember to subscribe and share the Victim Assistant Crime Victim Advocacy Podcast. Email me, pandatheadvocate@gmail.com. I usually have words of wisdom. I didn't have anything prepared, but I will say I've been talking a lot about leveling up in my blog and healing. And I just want people to know, in my personal experience too, that we should never be afraid. We should never use fear to hold us back. If we want to heal from a crime, or we want to heal from childhood, or the past hasn't been so kind to us, don't be afraid to step into your power and heal. Healing is difficult, but it kind of reinvents you as a person. And I'm kind of going through that now. So I think I know what I'm talking about. Don't ever be afraid to pursue your goals. You're never too young. You're never too old. Don't let fear hold you back. So everybody stay safe, healthy, and connected. And we'll see you next time. Peace, love, and happiness. This has been the Victim Assistant, Crime Victim Advocacy. Take care.